wiring the droppers to the bus wires. It's been a long job, but all the track's laid. Now it's down to the wiring. We're going to run 3 bus wires, 2 for the tracks and 1 for the accessories. As I mentioned before, this was difficult to get attached with these tiny little screws, and we had to reduce the depth of the board to enable it to locate into the lugs that's on the plastic. But it was a nightmare. I don't know why they're so flimsy and poor, but that's how we did it. We needed to mark the positions and the addresses that we were going to give the points motors and the uncoupling motors. You can see 2 12-volt power supplies there. The droppers need to be connected to the bus wires. It's a bit of a fiddly job, especially with these connectors. They're not fantastic to work with, but once you've got the measure of them, you know what to do. Plenty of heat, plenty of solder, plenty of flux, and everything goes fine. We're installing 3 circuit breakers. A bit of an overkill, but it's 1 for each bus wire. Again, a bit of overkill, but we thought we'd do it. The accessory bus wire, we are running to terminal blocks, and from the terminal blocks to the accessories, the lights and what other bits and pieces we've got running on the layout. You can see the black box. That's the power supply for the ECOS unit. It's not permanently fixed there, so we might move it to a slightly different position when we've decided we've got everything in place. We laid the first bus wire and connected the droppers from the outer track to that one. The second bus wire, we're attaching the inside track and the 2 yards, the engine yard and the carriage yard. Attaching the cobalt motors, what I've done is I've drilled 2 holes either side of the points that line up with the operation of the point slide, so that when I put the cobalt motor in, I know how to align it so it's in line. Then I've marked out the holes for screwing the cobalt motor to the board, and that's all that needs to be done. Then the motor offered up, and it's in line, and hopefully all the holes line up. There we go, easy. I also pre-drilled the holes for the screws. What I have noticed is when you tighten the screws down on one side or the other, then because of the felt, the sponge pad beneath it, it allows it to move and cock over one way or the other. So if you've not got the point actuating lever actually in the centre, you could probably adjust it by tightening or loosening the screws either side, which will lean the motor one way or the other, and you end up with a actuating lever right in the middle. That were good, wouldn't it? There we are, good and solid. These are Hornby uncouplers operated by the cobalt motors. I messed about and struggled a bit with these, and I've come up with the plan to put a piece of wood between the tracks and the baseboard. I made it 5mm, which is the same height as the foam, and it gives it something solid for the actuator to sit on. So when it's all put together, I hope it will work fine. It has done in trials on my little bench, so there's no reason why it won't do when it's operational on the layout. I still need to grind the ribs off the plate. It has a habit of uncoupling engines if they're left on, so they need to be ground away, so it's a flat, smooth surface. I decided that I was only going to screw down one end of the slide carriage to the wood, leaving the other end floating. That allows it not to jam when it's being operated. I thought that there was a tendency for it to lock up if both ends were attached. That's it, all labels off. Let's just hope we don't crash and burn.